I'm proud to be an American.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Central Valley Talk. My name is Ray Johns. I'm your host, and the name of my show is Voices Not Yet Heard. Well, there's a great deal going on now in the political world. I'm just so excited with what's happening. I've got something I normally don't read, but I'm going to read this from you today from my phone in just a second. It was sent to me, given to me by my business partner, Dave Romero, who's been on my show, and I think it's very profound considering what's happening. I want to talk about, of late, what's happening in the polls. There was a poll done, and 63% of the people approved of Donald Trump's speech. I thought it was the greatest speech I've ever heard. And he got more standing ovations than anyone in history, with the exception of the great Ronald Reagan, which I think is just absolutely phenomenal. Also, there's a poll, 69% of the people in this country think that this country is going in the right direction. And all you have to do to know that and understand that is look at the stock market. I'm going to read this to you. Give me a second here. And I thought this was pretty profound. And it's from David Romero, and it's pretty religious, but it's on the mark. And it says, Jesus washed the feet of his 12 disciples, one of them who he knew would betray him, yet he treated him the same as the others. He knew Judas was a thief, yet did not openly expose him to all the disciples. What he did was wash his feet, showing him what God's true heart motives were, and still are. How does this fit in today's America? America is no greater than its people. What does this mean today? We know the liberal heart would and will betray us. Trump's appeal to work with us to forge a better America is genuine, and some may cross the line to answer the call. But surely as Judas betrayed Jesus, at an opportune time, they will too. Let us be like true followers of Christ and change the world we live in with love, goodwill, justice, and peace. Now, I just thought that was apropos considering all that's happening in this country. And I can't help but talk about the useless idiots. You know, I can't believe these people. I can't believe, and I think they're spurred on by the media. I've got Gary Miguel coming here with me today, and I'm sure he'll talk about that. I cannot believe, and they believe things that they read. Please, and I'm appealing to the useless idiots. Let's unite this country, and it'll benefit every single one of us if we do. I'm going to take the time now and say, welcome, Gary.
How you doing,
welcome
Ray?
back, buddy. I'm doing great.
Good to be here.
We want to hear from you. I want to hear from you.
About the useless.
Oh, yeah, the useless idiots. That's just part of it.
Well, you know, they're part of that group is coming around.
Yeah, that's what we need.
But they're being paid, and
that's the whole thing.
And the other thing is, so many people, and everybody would be that susceptible in the sense that, man, we've had years and years and years of indoctrination.
Sure.
In the school systems. Mm-hmm. And we've had propaganda with the media.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to really fault some people. Mm-hmm. But
and
some people,
it's not one of those things that's just going to immediately change overnight. You
know? And they form a belief, and there's sort of that, if you'll notice the younger snowflakes, that mm-hmm. There's a little rebellion in there, regardless mm-hmm. of what it was. Yeah. You know, we all go through that. But I think that there is going to be a change that is positive with some of those people, not all of them.
Yeah.
But here's the thing you got to remember. They have to have an incentive not to be one of those people. Yeah. And so there has to be something greater than what they're getting out of it, right?
Absolutely.
Well, that starts with them witnessing what is being going on in mm-hmm. the country from a positive side and saying, maybe I ought to get and be a part of that rather than be
That's
here
what
anti
I'm hoping that's going to happen. Yeah. They're so influenced by the media, aren't they, Gary?
Well, sure. You know? I mean, it's incredible. And, of course, that's been going on for probably 60, 70 years that way, you know. Mm-hmm. And we're also influenced by the education system. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you went to a grammar school today and sat there, you would not recognize it as a school.
I know.
Compared to what you went to.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
There's no, I can't, you were the one that told me. I did not know. I feel bad about this. I did not know that they didn't do the Pledge of Allegiance in the schools anymore. How ridiculous is that? You know? And what's the purpose of it?
I know.
You know?
We did that as I recall, we did the Pledge of Allegiance every day, and also
Every morning before you started class, and
Yeah.
whatever the class was in the
Right.
beginning of the school day, you did that, and
Yeah.
that should be. I know Donald Trump's going to bring that back. I just know it.
Yeah, well, that and so much other stuff, and it's a design propaganda indoctrination, and they combine the media, and you combine the education, which is indoctrination. It's a wonder that anybody comes out of there with half a brain.
Absolutely.
And as these younger people that are rioting, they're getting paid. Some of them they've interviewed, they didn't even vote, or they don't even know why they're there. in other
No,
words,
they're
right?
simply because they're getting money to be there.
Yes, and then you have those that are out with the anti everything. It's simple stuff, but you think about it, you really do not become conservative until you have something to conserve.
Absolutely.
You know.
Now that's a great statement.
And these
That is
people,
a great statement.
as they're going through school, they start investing in themselves, whether they realize it or not, because their investment is learning. It's like I'm learning, and I'm invested that much time to learn. Now, some of it is being propaganda, but then also it does open up a little bit.
I can't help but think, and someone said that this past week, and I watch all those things, and I look up all those things that you've told me to look, and I do my due diligence, as do you, and I don't know anyone who does more due diligence than you. This guy sends me stuff that's just absolute. I've got people calling me up saying, "Did Gary send you anything today?" I mean, he sends me great stuff, and I read all of it, and I save it all. But, I can't help but think, and someone said this, it may have been Hannity, may have been Rush Limbaugh, who said this past week that, these useless idiots are going to wake up and one day and say, wait a minute, this stuff really works. Look at the economy. I'm doing better. Whether I wanted to do better or realized I was doing better, I am doing better personally, And I think that's going to happen.
Well, yeah, it's a raising of the spirit and the hope, And if somebody, and I think we've all experienced that, there's something we just don't see ourselves doing that or can't do that, and all of a sudden we get an inkling that maybe we can, and all of a sudden we find out, my God, I can do that.
Yeah.
And I think it's just part of maturation that takes place. But there has to be, along with that, a very, very strict, hard punishment to such an extent that the price paid for whatever it is you're doing that's destructive.
Absolutely, Gary. I agree with you
pay that
100%.
price,
Yeah.
And that right there, a little bit of that, get your head whacked enough times, and pretty soon, well, maybe I better listen to that.
Yeah,
over
that's
there.
right.
Yeah,
That's
and
right.
we're namby-pamby, politically correct. I call it a feminist nation that we've become, And that's got to change if you're going to change that kind of thinking.
Yes,
and that goes for
exactly.
both women and men.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But they have to they have to have a spirit in the thing. They have to have a hope into it, and they have to have an incentive. And I think you'll see a lot of changes because you do see exceptions. You see
You
somebody
do.
come
Absolutely.
out of there, Yeah.
Absolutely, you see exceptions. Donald Trump is doing everything that he said he does, including trying to unite this country. Can you imagine, Gary, the power that this country would have if we actually united and it was the United States and everybody was pretty much on the same page? Imagine things that could be accomplished in this country.
Well, that's it. I mean, we're so under, what do they call that when you underachievers? We got to be the world's greatest underachievers when you consider the opportunity that is there for us to be otherwise.
Exactly. Exactly. And we're getting there thanks to Donald Trump.
Well,
and
yeah,
his
Donald Trump is the
administration.
catalyst that causes that. And, of course, the people that saw his speech, where's the most that's ever watched a speech like that?
I was, you know what? I couldn't, I was like a little kid, I did. I wanted to go have a sandwich. I said, the heck with the sandwich.
Yeah.
I didn't want to miss one bit of that. And I think he spoke for an hour.
Yeah.
And to me, it was the best speech. He got, and someone said, I can't remember. I think Sandra called and told me he got 19 standing ovations. I think Ronald Reagan one time got what they say will never be beat, like 27 or something like that. But this is only his first speech.
Well,
other than the inaugural speech.
What stood out, because you've watched all his rallies, there was nothing in that speech that he hasn't said at the rallies.
Exactly.
There was nothing in. I mean, it was if you'll notice, going back to day one and go through every rally and every speech, which must be 200 or more combined, And he says that he's saying the same point, and he understands the power of saying the same thing.
Point,
you
yeah.
know? Now,
Drill
obviously,
it.
the delivery was considerably different, which is a low key, very matter of fact. It wasn't anything else, and it was just absolutely perfect. Even one of the things that he did there, and of course I say he did, and his people, that Miller and Bannon, and I guess his daughter worked on that speech. But if you'll notice all the high points of what he is, for instance, he wants to make America great again, right? Okay, well, let's get more specific. You know, and you go through that, and you see one of the things he wants to do is tax breaks and more money in the middle for the middle class.
Yeah,
right?
he emphasized that very strongly.
The other thing he emphasizes is build the military strong enough that nobody can challenge us.
Yeah. And he said that. He says, I'm going to make the military so strong that we don't have to worry.
Right.
You know, we don't have to worry about it.
So now you're on to all those points, and there's I don't know how many of them.
He talked about Obamacare and repealing
and the Obamacare and
Which,
all the things that he had talked about. Now let's think about this for a minute, so everybody can enjoy, your own doctor and so forth.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if you'll notice, that speech was worded that if you sat down, like the Democrat did, then you're against it.
I saw that. That made me sick.
Now, but look at it, Ray. Think about it. That's clever. In other words, we're going to clean up the inner city. We're going to find jobs for this people, and this is how we're going to do it. And everybody stands up and claps.
Yeah.
Right? Except they didn't, because
No.
are they going to go back home to their constituents, try to run for office next time? And can you imagine the heyday you would have if you was running one of those? You'd run a video of that.
Yes.
Because they're not for what
No.
common sense would be for.
No.
No, he says, "Boy, I want a better education for the kids of the inner city." They sit down.
I heard
They say no. It's like they're saying no. I'm not for that. I'm not for anything.
I heard one of those useless idiots on. I never watched CNN. Thanks to you, I've gotten away from that. But for some reason, this morning, when I was getting ready to go to my business this morning, and I was getting ready, and it flipped it on CNN, and I left it, and there was some useless idiot that was mocking what he did with that wonderful woman who lost her, the Navy SEAL. Remember, the lady looked up to the heavens, and what a wonderful thing he did there. And they were saying that he was using that. He was using that to his advantage, and that it was all about Donald Trump, and that's why he did it, and it shouldn't have been. You know, it was just ridiculous.
But that you just explained the reason I don't watch CNN.
Exactly.
Well, I mean,
and
why,
believe me, buddy,
why am I going to expend
believe
any
me,
emotion?
I came in and switched it to Fox when in the middle of what he was saying.
I mean, you got idiots that are just idiots. But boy, I thought it was so cool how he changed and turned that around to where if you sat down, you're saying you're for more crime.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah. Didn't you love all the standing ovations he got doing
yeah,
it's wonderful.
You know, it was everything was done there that he pointed out. But I think what I got, of course, I felt like I'd heard all that. You know, so
because
I wasn't
he said it over and over and over again,
right.
like you said.
Yeah, and there were a lot of people that was the first time they saw it.
Yeah,
that really triggered them, including media people. They've never listened to one of his speeches.
The new poll, 63% of the people, Gary, loved his speech. Loved it. 63. That, to me, somebody said, well, I think that's significant. I think that's very significant.
And I think that probably, but I guess what it tickled me the most out of all is how he was able to turn every statement he made for what he was for, which everybody would be for, but because you sat down, you're against.
Yeah.
I thought that was incredible.
I thought it was too.
Because I mean, if I have somebody I voted for, Congress or Senate, and I'm thinking, man, that person's for more crime. You know, it's for more like for sanctuaries. It's for more criminals being out of jail, out killing people. They're saying they're for that.
Yeah,
and
that's exactly. If they're sitting down, they're saying they're for that.
And he turned it around in that speech to come out that way, and I thought that was really a brilliant speech in a lot of ways, you know.
69% of the people in this country think that we're headed in the right direction. I love that. When I read that this morning, that it just thrilled me to death. And if you don't, and a great indication is what's happening with the stock market.
Yeah.
And you of course, Gary, can talk about that. But I mean, it's, what is it? Went over 2,000, 2,100, something like that.
21,000, and it's
Just amazing.
It's gone as high as almost 22,000. 21,000. Actually, what it is 21,000, and it could go as high as 22,000 in
First
in
time in
time,
history.
You know.
First time
well,
in
it's the
history.
first time in history. It's been over 20,000.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never been over 20. but
Immediately after his speech. And I
Right.
was thinking,
yeah, it went the highest it's ever
Yeah.
been immediately after his speech.
people are starting to believe in this country.
Well-
Starting to, the non-believers is what I'm talking about. You and
Right.
I and the rest of us conservatives, we
Right.
always believed in it. But
But
the
here's something
non-believers-
about the stock market. The stock market it's really not caused by any president.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mood of the people, right?
Which
well,
is
I
what-
guess it's caused
yeah,
by it.
because he influenced the
Right.
mood of the people. People
But here's
starting
something
to
that he
believe.
said, and this is what I caution on because I see that. Markets have cycles. There's no such thing as a straight line going
Yeah.
up and it just keeps going.
Yeah.
There's cycles and there's dips, and these are called corrections, okay? And it's kind of like a boxer. He doesn't fight all 10 rounds at once. He
Yeah.
sits down for a while.
Yeah,
Right.
takes a break. Yeah,
So anyway, when you think about that, be careful if you are thinking about getting in the market, okay, or if you're in it. Do some back to what your phrase, due diligence, and,
Yeah.
and do some really say, wait a minute, this thing, I'm looking at all this and it looks a little high. Let me tell you, because this is what I'm going to say. A lot of people forgot that. Last summer, Trump described the market as a huge, huge bubble.
I remember that.
Remember that?
Yes.
Okay. And he also described that bubble will burst. And
Yes, he did.
And anything that big and burst, it's going to be
A lot of fallout.
there's going to be a lot of fallout. And so my point I want to say, and then they'll come back because they'll blame Trump if it goes down, right?
Okay.
But here's what Trump did. He warned you. You didn't listen if you're caught.
Yeah.
So I want to bring that out because, the euphoria, how much of it is euphoria? And
Well,
how
I
much
imagine a great deal of it is.
Well, yeah, and how much has to get caught up? And 80% of the people buy within 20% of the top.
Oh, that's an interesting stat.
That goes back before Jesus.
Yeah.
And 80% of the people sell within 20% of the bottom.
I remember you gave me that before. That really hit me when you said that.
So
It made sense.
So if you're in something right now, I mean, what I do is I use stops. Now, you could write it, but put where if it goes to here that you get out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, don't
Gary.
write it all the way down there, and then all of a sudden you end up being that 80% that's selling at 20% of the bottom. That's when you should be buying.
Yeah.
Because 20% are buying.
Yeah.
At the top, there's 20% are selling.
Yeah.
So and that's nothing magic about that. I mean, that goes back before Jesus.
It makes
that
sense,
way.
Gary. It does
So
make sense.
I caution people, but they say, well, where's the top? Well, we don't know where. Nobody knows where
No.
the top. We can guess and
Yeah.
and do all that. So we don't know where the top is. We may have a feeling it may be there or something, but we could be wrong about it all. So let's just assume the moment that when it comes to like that, investing market, let's assume I'm always wrong. I never get it right. So what I do then to change that, if I'm always wrong, then why don't we do this? Why don't, as it goes up, I'm buying, right? And as it goes up, I'm here. But why not put a place where if it goes down,
You
I'm
sell
out?
as opposed to going all the way down.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So where you're not selling, you're not one of those that are selling within 20% of the bottom. You're one of those that sold within 20% of the top. So if something goes, let's just take 1,000, and let's just use that as an example. Let's say this thing's at 1,000. Well, 80% of that's 800. So I'll put my stop at 800.
It makes sense. It's very. It does.
I'm not going to put my stop at 200.
No. And be the bottom 20%. Yeah.
Yeah. And that
makes sense.
happens over and over and has forever. But you don't have to be a genius to figure something like that out. Just you got in the deal, and then you have the the decision. Maybe somebody even made the decision for you.
Yeah.
Like you're in a mutual fund or something. But you call the guy and you say, look, if it drops, using that 1,000 as an example, if it drops to 800, just get me out.
Yeah.
And if it goes to 2,000, there's take 20% of that. If it drops down to 1,600 or even 1,800 or something, well then let's just get
Yeah.
out, and then don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Because you remember why you don't want to worry about it, because your buddies, in fact, 8 out of 10 of them, they're going to be selling clear at the bottom. Mm-hmm. I talked to a guy that he kept it pretty much that simple for himself. He was a Navy enlisted guy, and he made a lot of money doing that.
Yeah.
Just something
Well, it just
simple.
makes sense. It seems simple.
And then he would stay out until he got down in there where the bottom, and it's called capitulation, and that's where you can't find one soul telling you to buy the stock market.
Yeah.
That's the day you buy.
I'll be darned.
Yeah, well, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, go anywhere today, though, Ray. You can go anywhere. Ask people, oh, man, that stock market, it's just crazy. It's going to go to this. It's going to go to that. That's what you're hearing.
Yeah.
So their mind is all buying. Mm-hmm. That's 80%.
Yeah.
In fact, it's almost 100% in the coffee shops
Yeah.
we go to. So don't be one of those.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
you say, well, yeah, but I don't want to miss it. What if it goes on? I don't want. No, that's right. That's why you keep it at 80%.
Yeah, and you stop there. That makes a great deal of sense. It's amazing, like you said, we were talking about euphoria a little bit, how much an effect he had just on because people looked at what he said and they believed what he said, and it's like what you said. He keeps saying the same thing over again, and eventually it becomes habitual with people. And I think we can see that.
And all over the world, look at all the countries that are deciding to come to America
Yes.
and build and invest and so forth. So it's just an attitude change.
Japan is investing a
Yeah.
great deal of
Oh,
money
my
in
God,
this
so is
country.
China.
So is China.
That it's just an attitude shift. So for the millennial, those useless idiots, this is a perfect time right now for you to shift.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It makes sense.
Because now let's get on the ride, and let's not be at 80%. Why not be the 20%?
Well, let me ask you something, Gary. Change the subject a little bit. Back to the band. I know that they're still trying to do something with that, and I think that something has to be done. I understand that in Fresno County, right now we have 175 refugees. Something. I might be a little bit off there, but something like that. And what upsets me about that, other than the fact, the most thing is that we don't know who these people are. I don't care how they're vetted. I don't
Right.
care what's going on. We don't know who all these people are. Some of these people could very well be terrorists, and I believe if you let enough of them in, you will find some terrorists amongst these people. And what bothers me, secondly, is the fact that who's going to pay for these people? We're trying to straighten out our own economy here. And these people are going to find their ways. I mean, they certainly would have under Hillary Clinton and the past administration, find their way on the welfare rolls. I understand as they're coming in now, they're getting so much money for housing or whatever it is. I'm not sure. I'm not that learned in what's going on there. But I know these people are not coming in and it doesn't cost anything. It's got to cost something, and it all falls down to the American taxpayer.
Well, it's been going that way all through the. Actually, it really picked up during the Obama thing, And you got to remember what he's not a capitalist. He's not a free enterprise person. He's not a democracy person.
No.
He's a socialist, communist person.
Yes, he is.
And his idea is to get elected over and over is obviously put all these people in there with a freebie.
Yeah.
And now I got their vote forever.
Sure. That's what the
It's
Democrats
really
have been doing for years.
That's right, Ray, and it's not that complicated
No.
to figure out because all of a sudden Trump gets in there and they really haven't done anything yet. Mm-hmm. They cut 50% of the people crossing in now.
Oh, good.
But just saying it.
Yeah.
They're scared to come.
Yeah.
You see, and that has saved us That's something that hasn't been talked about. How much money is actually saved by people not coming in here and doing exactly what you
Good point,
said?
Gary. I hadn't thought about
It's
that.
in the
That's
billions.
yeah.
It's in the billions.
It's got to be.
I mean, I looked at that figure and I thought, holy cow, they've cut that in half already.
Yeah.
You see? So think of that as far as reducing the debt.
Yeah.
You know, now I remember because most of the people from my nationality came as immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they came at a time when I could remember.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they were highly vetted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but they had to be sponsored. Mm-hmm. In other words, they had to
Yes,
have.
that's right. I remember that.
They had to have a job already.
Mm-hmm.
They don't come in and be a ward of America.
Yeah.
And the only way you came to America, you came with whatever you had on you. So you worked wherever you were until you saved enough money to get on a boat to come to Ellis Island,
Mm-hmm.
and you had what you had in your pocket.
That was it.
That was it. Okay. Now, along with that, you had to have a sponsor, and these people, little by little, the idea was, say you come over, okay, then you turn around and you want to send for me. I'm your brother, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then you get over here, and you're saving money for what? You're saving, of course, for yourself, but you're also saving money to get me over there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I remember I had my grandfather's family. That's how they, one after another. One brother that brought another one, brought another, then brought the girls, you know. And that's how they did. Save enough money, bring another one.
Yeah.
Save enough money. But
Bring
when they
another.
come over, they all had jobs. There was
Yeah.
no ward of the state.
Yeah.
And that's where we got way off of that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I
we
mean,
did.
and that's not good. In fact, what you ended up with is people that wanted to become America as fast as they could. Mm-hmm. I mean, they assimilated as fast as they could. As soon as they got here, first thing they could do is go down to a store and get rid of whatever their foreign clothes were and put on American clothes.
Exactly. They were proud to be Americans.
Well, they wanted to
Proud.
be that in a heartbeat.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, that was the number one priority. Boy, get here and hurry up.
Yeah.
Get rid of this, right? Mm-hmm. So anyhow, this is what we need to return to. That
Absolutely,
kind of
we need to
Yeah.
return to that. And I hope that we're certainly with Donald Trump, we're headed that. Gary, we're going to take a little break here. I want to tell everybody that if you're watching me now, you're watching me live, a number will appear on the screen. We'd like to have you call in. Gary and I are here to inform you as best we can. So please call in, ask any questions that you'd like, and we will do our best to answer them. So we're going to be back here, ladies and gentlemen, in 2 and 2. Well, I'm back, and you know, ladies and gentlemen, I have such pride. I'm just swelled up with pride every time I hear Donald Trump. I can't help thinking about that speech. I've watched it over and over again. It was just he reminds me so very much of Ronald Reagan, and you know, the useless idiots they jump on everything that he says. I know they're paid to do that. I know the media does that, and then the useless idiots pick up on that, and they just breed from that. And of late, there's been some very, very negative things said about Sessions, and Gary has something to say about that. And so I'm going to turn it over to him and let him say this. This is going to be very informative, and I look forward to hearing what he has to say. Gary?
Yeah, Sessions recused himself today in terms of the Russian-Trump campaign issue.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, he was asked a question by Franken during his hearing or his confirmation thing, and he was asked the question: did you contact or were in contact with
the Russian ambassador?
Right.
I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he had been in contact with Russians because he's on that Foreign Relations Committee, and he contacted not only or was in contact with him, but dozens and dozens of others.
Yes.
As part of his job.
Sure.
Okay.
But they blew it way out. I'm
well,
sure
what they did
happened.
is but he did not have any contact during the time that Trump, that period when was that they were accusing Trump of, or not Trump, but accusing the campaign of being influenced by the Russian, right?
Yeah.
Or Russians were influencing.
Yeah, the campaign.
Yeah. He did not have contact with Russia then. So, but what the Democrats did was try and hook
Sure they did.
a prior into the president.
Into a president, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then you say, well, God, he ought to be able to handle that. And the answer that, well, yeah, because I mean, in fact, Franken himself said that there was it's a no nothing burger is what he's put it. Okay, but Ray, let's look at it a little different. They didn't object to that. When I say they, the Donald Trump crew, and so what happens is Sessions recuses himself in regard to that one area, the Russian deal, right, which is a nothing burger.
Yeah.
Okay. So what the Democrats wanted, or the other side wanted, including a lot of Republicans who were scared to death of what I'm getting ready to say next, but what they wanted was for Sessions to leave, just like
of course they
just
did.
like Flynn. Okay? Right?
Yeah. Absolutely, that was their goal in the first place.
That
That's
was
why
their-
it was even brought up.
including Republicans.
Yeah.
And then when you look into it, these people that are coming out, both Republican and Democrat, with the most objection are proven to the people that they're guilty of what is really coming up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay?
Makes sense.
Because they are going to drain the swamp. And it's going to hit a lot of Republicans
And a lot of Democrats.
and a lot of Democrats. Okay, so they don't want Sessions around either. But by give them that one piece. It's kind of like this: you go fishing to catch a big bass. Well, you got to use a minnow,
To get him. Yeah. I've done that.
and so you sacrifice the minnow.
Yeah.
Well, that's what this is. That deal about the Russians and the Trump campaign. That's the minnow.
Yeah.
Now we're going to get the big fish.
Yeah.
See, and so what you're going to see then is Sessions is going to be there to come down on things that are just incredible. And I'll just name one I learned today.
Okay.
Okay, the Department of Justice. I didn't know. Well, I guess nobody did. But anyway, Obama had a slush fund in the billions. They estimate it could be as high as $3 billion.
My goodness, Gary, I didn't know this.
In the slush fund in the Department of Justice that Obama used to pass out money to people who are or organizations and groups that are anti-American.
You don't think old Loretta knew anything about this, do you?
Well, here's the thing about Loretta. Look at all the things that she did. How come she didn't recuse herself from that?
She should have. She should have.
I mean, my Lord, go on and on. If anybody would warrant that. So there hasn't been, and there isn't going to be that much objection to what Sessions said, because it's kind of like give the dog a bone and I'll eat the steak. Because he's busy eating on that bone, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's a diversion.
Makes so much sense, Gary. It does.
And so what they had hoped for, that it would get blown up to the point to where they would be able to get rid of Sessions. Well, they said, well, yeah, we'll give you that. It's kind of like old Bear Rabbit. Don't throw me in the briar patch.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what I
Trump's
read.
what blows me away is, they think they're real slick, and Trump's on top of every bit of this, in his administration, on top of everything that they're doing. He knows, he understands it, and he counters it beautifully.
Well, Ray, one thing I'm sure you and I, like everybody else, really got into learning a little bit about what's going on politically in our country, and we learned a lot in the last year.
Yeah,
I
know I have.
One of the things you learn is a lot of people, getting back to the millennial or the youthful idiots, it's 90-year-old people too. I keep lumping that. They're just not that bright.
No.
And look at the media. Some of those
How
people,
could they be? Look who they're influenced by.
They're just not that bright.
Yeah.
Who's calling?
We have a call in? Okay.
Oh, they just missed.
Huh?
Never mind, they missed.
Okay.
So
we
anyway-
thought we had a call in. We don't. If let us know if they call back, buddy. All right.
Yeah, if they're not that bright, which they've proven to be. I mean, you look what happened at the speech, that Trump made. Those people were easily put into a position that if they sat down and objected, then they were for all the things. They're for more debt. They're for more.
They are.
They're
Sure
for
they are.
more crime.
Absolutely.
I mean,
it benefits them.
And they fell right into it.
Yeah.
I know one thing: if I was a Democrat sitting over there and I'm going to run next time, I'd be jumping up every time.
Sure.
Because I don't, and one of them did. because I want to get elected again.
Yeah.
Imagine trying to get elected again when you're against everything that everybody's for.
These idiots don't know they're just destroying their own party. Is what's happening.
Well,
Slowly but surely
and,
is what happened.
and what a wonderful thing to be able to see.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm all for it. Keep being an idiot, you know.
But you watch Session now go into that swamp, and
Start draining it.
they're going to
I
start
love it.
draining it.
I
and
absolutely love
It's
it.
going to hit both Democrat or Republican.
Yes.
And really, Trump himself and the whole setup, I mean, yeah, it's Republican stuff, but really he's not either a true Republican,
No.
nor is he a true Democrat.
Yeah.
He's kind of in there, you know what I
Interesting
mean?
position, but you're right. Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't really point your finger at him and say, oh boy, that's a hard-nosed Republican.
Because he's never been a hard-nosed Republican, a hard-nosed conservative.
No, and
you
he's
know?
not. He, of course, and he's. I'll tell you what he is, though. If there is such a thing, or would be, it's a common sense party,
Yeah, I like that term.
and it'd
I
be
like
pretty
that
easy
term.
to identify with that.
Yeah.
And if you didn't have common sense, then you wouldn't be a member of it, and
Yeah.
you'd self-select yourself.
Absolutely.
You know, you call it a common sense party, and then you're out there rioting and burning cars and stuff. Well, and then you become a felon, and you're ruined for life. How much common sense did you have?
Really.
It'd be pretty easy to distinguish. Wouldn't it?
I loved what he said partially in his speech about cleaning up the inner cities, you know, and he's going to do every single thing, ladies and gentlemen, that he said he's doing. He's already done it. I think Donald Trump in 2 months has done more than the last administration did in 8 years. Yes, we have a caller?
Just from the camera.
Okay.
Well, as far as the most people done it in 8 years, I mean that's not too hard to do
No, because he didn't do anything.
We didn't do anything
Yeah.
except he did promote and make available things that were damaging to us as a nation. Mm-hmm. He was the anti-American, and you're going to see more and more of that become a fact.
What I want to
He
know,
doesn't
Gary,
care
let me
about
ask you.
America.
Let me ask you this, because I'm very, and I'm sure everybody out there would like to know this, especially from you. Why is this man still in Washington, D.C.? Every other president left. Why did he take up a resident in Washington, D.C.? I think I know the answer, but I want to hear it from you.
Well, from what I'm getting out of it, he's done that because he wants to build a group. I think he's
Which he's doing.
which he's trying. Yeah, he's doing, and build a group to overthrow Trump. Mm-hmm. And when I say Trump, it would be anything that's. See, those are communist people,
Yes, they are.
and that's part of what they do. Mm-hmm. He's an organizer, or you better yet, a disorganizer, and he's there and it's a thought that he has, and you may think to yourself, well, God, how can anybody think like that? But Ray, they do.
Sure, they do.
They did
Absolutely
in Russia.
They do.
They
Yeah.
did in Russia about 100 years ago with communism.
Yeah.
Look what they did recently in Venezuela.
Oh.
Look what they did in China. There's people that actually think like that.
I just read something about Venezuela today. You know?
And a lot of it is you get down to it, and you watch the motivation of some of these people, and like Obama, what he's doing, or like Hillary. I mean, doesn't the word evil ever cross your mind?
Really? You know, you brought up Venezuela long ago, and I was schooled and very much by what you said. And I read today, I think it might have been a Wall Street Journal issue. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was. Venezuela's down to $10 billion, and they owe 7.2. I mean, this country's gone. It's absolutely gone. They have no money.
Well, 12% of the people are starving.
Yeah.
Last I read, and
They said there's nothing on the shelves for the people to eat
There's
anymore.
nothing for the
I mean,
shelves, you know.
they went from a once very prosperous country because of dictatorship, because of communism, and look where it led. Like communism always leads to
Yeah.
failure. You know?
Or a dictator corruption,
Yeah,
you know,
which is what
or
they
a
had.
corrupt government. And
Yeah,
I'll
which
tell you
is-
who's been a corrupt government for almost ever, seems like. And to me, they're in one of the most advantageous demographics in the world, and that's Mexico.
Absolutely. You pointed that out. They've
You
got
know,
great resources down
they
there.
have
They should
all
be
the way-
They should be a extremely prosperous country if it was run right. you
And
know?
it's certainly not because the people aren't capable, but they are. They're just being, it's just so corrupt, and that's where we were heading.
Oh, absolutely.
So how smart can
Oh,
you
my
be
gosh.
if you have
You know, you and I talked. I was so afraid that Hillary Clinton was going to get elected, and that's exactly what would have happened to our great nation had she been elected.
exactly, and the fact that the Mexican people themselves, or at least the ones I talked to, they see it. They said, man, this country getting corrupt just like Mexico.
You were telling me that the people that were coming over here that were making money and going back into Mexico, that they were being charged for that. A great deal of money.
Well, I'll tell you, in fact, I just talked the other day. This goes back to the old Bracero program, which we all were.
Yeah, explain that to all of us.
Well, we're all believe. My God, that was wonderful.
Yeah.
Why would you have illegals when you don't need to do that? All you have to do is just fill out, get a card, and get a Bracero on the Bracero program, and you come up here, and nobody's touching it, bothering you. You're protected by the laws of the country, and you go home, and you don't have to worry about somebody picking you up, immigration and all that, right? Or you don't have to worry about the coyotes that prey on you, the traffickers.
Yeah.
Okay, and the drugs. Okay?
Yeah.
Because not every Mexican comes up here as a druggie. You see
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. No,
So
of course
anyway,
not.
so anyway, I didn't know that till just recently. Some guys I was talking to, who their dads and grandfathers came up during the Bracero program. But what was happening, Ray? And I'm just going to use an example. Say $1 an hour, okay? And they'd come up here and make $1 an hour. Now, when they and in Mexico, they'd be making maybe 10 cents an hour. Okay, so now they're making $1 an hour. They're happy. But when they went back to Mexico,
That's the part I wanted you to explain. Yeah.
50%,
Good grief.
50
Gary.
cents out of
Isn't
every
that
dollar.
amazing? Yeah. Talk
So-
about corruption.
Well, here's what they did, because I asked them, I said, well, why would there be any illegals if there's a Bracero program? That's what I was pointing out. I said, you come up here, you're safe, this and that. He says, yeah. He says, you're right, but it was better and more profitable to be illegal than it was to be
Legal. Yeah.
And the reason was because when they went back to Mexico, it wasn't the United States that took the money away from
It
them.
was Mexican government.
It was the
Yeah.
Mexican government took 50 cents on a dollar.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No wonder. There was more profit. You can see that.
Yeah, so I kind of remember vaguely, I'd wonder, well, why would there be any illegal Mexicans up here from Mexico
Because they'd all be
if
on the
they have a
Bracero
Bracero
program.
program? And then I couldn't figure out what, well, because it was more profitable to be illegal. See what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's because now that's where Trump is talking with the Mexican
Mexican president.
right?
Yeah.
And their leaders, and basically what he says, hey, he's aware of that. He says it's got to be an advantage for the Mexican when he goes home that he was legal while he was in the United States.
Yeah.
You can't make it the other way.
No.
Well, while he was in the United States, he's legal, and then he comes home, and now you take advantage of him to where it's not a vantage point any longer. So now what do you got? You're right back to the same old thing
Sure.
again, right? So I think that's kind of the thing that Trump is aware of, and that will be straightened out with the Mexican government.
Oh, that'll be a
Yeah.
major plus, too.
That'd be a major
when that
plus.
happens.
Yeah.
Gary, we're going to go ahead now and take another break here real quick. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll come back. Please call in. We'd like to hear what you think about all this. We're here to inform you. Gary's here. Talk to Gary. Talk to me. And we would like to talk to you. So feel free to call in. And we'll be back in, say, 2 and 2. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back with Gary, of course, and we're kind of winding things down here. We feel, like we said, feel free to call in. And we're talking about Donald Trump like we do
Yeah.
every single week. And I tell you, it's a good time to be an American, don't you think, Gary?
Yeah,
it's a great time to be an American.
Oh, you
which
couldn't
is-
ask for it. It's never been this good. I mean,
No, it has not.
What
Yeah,
you-
I like the way you said that
Well,
because it
what
has
you-
never been this
It's
good.
never been this way, if in a number of ways, but I'll just say one way, very simple. It has been and is a revolution.
Yes, it is.
Without
yes, it is.
firing a shot.
Without firing a shot. And you said that about,
Yeah.
10 shows ago. And you're
I don't
right.
know of
You're
any
absolutely
country
right.
that's ever had this kind of a shift
Without firing a shot.
without firing a shot. And
Very
this-
well put.
And this says a lot about America, and it says a lot about American people.
Yes, it does.
You know, and I think what I'm noticing is more and more, like you mentioned, the pride. More and more
Oh.
people are becoming emboldened.
I'm loving this.
to the
I'm
point-
loving this.
To the
you know?
point that I'll sit there and see a song, like for instance that one that Deplorables, that old Trump
Oh, yeah.
has.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. There's some of these patriotic songs, like I saw one, America the Beautiful, and all.
Yeah.
there's some of these songs you can't really sit there today without tears coming. to your
Oh, I
eyes.
know it.
And
I know it.
guarantee there was people with tears in their eyes for that speech the other
I'm
night.
telling you, the other day, and I can't remember what it was on, and it was the American Marine Band that marched down and played the Stars and Stripes, and I just went, oh my gosh, Gary, I just swelled up. I love it. I just love this country so much, and I feel so privileged. I feel so privileged to be an American. I feel privileged being a Republican too. I had to throw that
Ray,
in
you
there.
know, I mean, you look at the people that are the antis.
Yeah.
You know, like the people. Well, even their leaders sitting there with a gloom face.
Yeah.
I mean, don't they realize, if nothing else, they're missing out on a wonderful, beautiful time to be an American.
You said almost verbatim
You know.
what someone said the other day on. I think it was the Outnumbered. I can't remember the gentleman that was on with the four ladies, and he said almost verbatim what you said.
Really?
You know, we ought to be taking stock in the fact that we live in the greatest country in the world. And speaking to you useless idiots that are out there causing all this trouble, you know, you ought to be grateful for what we have in this country,
Well,
because believe me, you can't go anywhere else and have what we have
absolutely.
right
Right.
here. You can't do it.
Well, I mean, having the privilege, I call it a privilege, of being able to experience it in the way you really can just
Exactly.
experience
Exactly.
to the point to where you feel so good about it that it humbles you.
Yes, it does, Gary.
And tears, I mean, people are all the time saying, boy, that brought tears, Mom.
Oh,
That
yeah.
brought-"
Oh,
That's
yeah.
because they're feeling good, not because they're sad.
I'm going to tell you something. When Trump introduced that wonderful lady, the Navy SEAL who lost her husband, and I saw the tears in her eyes, and I was watching this with some people, and everybody in the room had tears in their eyes. I know I did.
That was
you
an
know.
incredible moment.
It was an incredible moment.
Yeah.
It was just an incredible moment. you know.
Yeah, that was.
And they wanted to criticize that. These
Well-
useless idiots wanted to criticize this and turn it into something that they thought it was, which it wasn't, you know?
Well, that moment was so big in so many ways. Big for her, but it was also real big for Americans
Yes.
feeling the pride. You see what I mean?
Yes, that's exactly what it did.
People that criticize that, Ray, I think people better wake up. They are not Americans.
No, they're not. I don't consider them
I,
Americans.
I
no.
have no reason why I care to even treat them as
No,
Americans.
that's why.
Or
and
consider them
exactly
American.
why I said, why don't you
Yeah.
go? And I've said this before. Why don't you go and spend some time in third world country,
Right.
and see how fast you want to come back to America.
Well,
see
it's
how
e-
much
it-
freedom you have over there.
Well, it's easy to sit there today. I mean, I don't recall anything patriotic, inspirational, or anything about Obama for 8 years. And,
No.
and all I see with Hillary, the same thing. I mean, they're all opportunists for themselves.
Yeah,
You know.
that's exactly it. You know, and it was all based on special interests and what they were going to get out of it.
and their
you know?
interests, you know, and there's trillions of dollars that Trump is going to tap into that have been taken by these people, and none of them are Americans. Believe me, I don't care what their name is. I don't care what party. How can you be an American and take advantage of America?
You know,
like it is?
I love Donald Trump, and I love his attitude. I mean, you talk about somebody that's a real American. I mean, it doesn't matter what they throw at this man.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter. Donald Trump steps up to the plate and hits a ball out of the ballpark. You can throw him anything you want to. You can throw him a 96-mile-an-hour breaking pitch, and he'll hit it out. You know, he is phenomenal. He overcomes everything that's thrown at him, and keeps on marching. He keeps on talking about a person that perseveres. My goodness.
Well, you know, that's how you win.
Exactly. Exactly,
What,
Gary.
that deal link I sent you goes something like that. It's
Yeah.
you know, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I just read that the other day that you sent to me.
Then they
You know?
fight you,
Yeah,
and then you win.
and then you win.
That's what
and then you
Trump's
win.
doing.
And I said it on one of my show. You know, basically put, Donald Trump is a winner. That's what he does. He wins. You know, and you useless idiots better get on board, or you're going to be to the side, and you're going to see the prosperity. Hopefully, some of you, when you see what's going on with this country, will realize that we're making progress. Those of us that are being successful, because I can guarantee you, I can sit here in front of this audience and guarantee you, Gary and I are going to be successful, and we're going to take advantage of this. You know,
Well,
and,
you know-
and you better take advantage of it, or you're going to be lost. You
Well,
know?
like say you're missing out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly
And
it.
can
They're
you
missing out.
imagine waking up and all of a sudden someday saying, "Man, I missed out on
Yeah.
all that."
Oh man, I should have got on that bandwagon. Gary, I hope you'll come back next week,
Get ready.
and because we need you, I need you, and I want to tell you
I don't
that
know about that.
this morning I ran into a policeman, a Fresno policeman, wonderful man, and I apologize for getting his name. I would love to put his name on. Just a wonderful man, and we sit and talk, and I explained to him what I do at the end of every single one of my shows is that I encourage people to go up and talk to our law enforcement officers and tell them what they mean to us, because they have a thankless job for a very minimal amount of pay, and yet they're out there every day protecting us. So we need to tell them how much we appreciate them, because I'll tell you, I do appreciate them. I think they're wonderful men and women of all colors who step up to the plate. So please, when you see one, take time, go up, take 2 minutes of your time and shake his hand and tell him how much we appreciate him. So until next Thursday, absolutely. Wait a minute. I've got to tell you something. My show starting next week, will be Friday at 3 o'clock, and it's going to be, and it will go to television. So we look forward to that. We're going to get a bigger audience. I'm excited about it. So it will be next Friday at 3 o'clock for all of you that are watching. And I look so forward to having you at 3 o'clock as opposed to 4, and it's going to be a better day even for me. But until we meet next Friday at 3 o'clock, heaven's blessings.